You say digital modes. How do they manifest themselves? Are they just on your digits, on your fingers? That sounds like a serious malady. Digital modes. I heard somebody died of that once. Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. This question comes from Peter Stanford, M3TNW. Okay, that is a call sign from the UK. Sometimes they start with G or an M or 2 echo, or they've got all different kinds there, and this one's an M. And Peter asks, I was wondering about digital modes, and no, it's not a disease, it's a thing you do on the radio. Is it possible to decode them on a PC, laptop, tablet from a Web SDR? The answer is yes, but you are hearing the wheedle, wheedle, wheedle of the digital mode, okay? Somehow you've got to get that audio turned around and back into an audio input so that the sound card in your radio can decode them and send the decoded signal to something like FLDigi or FT8 or something like that, okay? We're doing only a receiver here. So now there are little pieces of utility software that will do that. They usually cost a little, or you can make some kind of special interface for that. The idea is you've got to get the output that you hear. You're going in via the internet to somebody's station and you're getting the audio. That audio needs to become an input to the sound card, okay? And then the sound card can decode it. And it makes it a little bit weird because you were going to try and transmit with this setup, send it the other way. You've only got one sound card in the computer, and it wants to make all the Windows sounds too. So either invest in another sound card or get something like this. It's a SignaLink USB. They're still sold. This plugs into the radio. Then you put a USB connector into here and connect that to the radio. This acts as a separate outboard sound card. And then the radio connection, and it'll make one for whatever radio you have, or you can make up one. There's an input on a lot of older radios for audio in and audio out for the digital modes. Now the newer receivers, a la the 7300 right there, has a built-in sound card. So with one cable, again it's the same cable, with one cable not only can you do digital control of the radio, sometimes called CAT, and it will do the audio in and out. Now the way I'm set up right here, that goes directly into the computer. There's a driver from ICOM for it, and then you can use that as both an audio source and as an audio sync. But the idea is, yes, in principle you can do that. You need the audio to get into FLDigi. In FLDigi, you'll set up the sound card. You'll have to tell it what sound card to take the sound from. And if you're going to transmit, you have to tell it which sound card you want to send your audio to. And believe me, it is easier with an external sound card. And this one is designed specifically for amateur radio digital modes. You can set to transmit and receive audio, and it uses a sort of a voice-operated relay in here type of thing to key the transmitter, because you want the transmitter to key. Now, you can purchase, these are about $110, and they come with the cable to your rig. You have to specify that when you order. If you have a sound card, you can buy a dongle that's a sound card. Okay, you just buy one. They're like $7 on Amazon. The problem is it has no way to key your transceiver when it's your turn to transmit. So you're going to have to be sitting there with the transmit switch. Even my 7300 right here has a button I can push that puts it in transmit mode. Now nothing is being transmitted because I've got a key right here and the key is not open. But you can put it in that mode. So you'll have to go back and forth on that to make that work. I would recommend this. You'll get so sick of doing the other thing. Okay, so yes, it can be done in principle. I would consult with somebody who knows a lot about computers or who has done something very similar on their old computer. I used this with my old Yaesu 747. It worked fantastically. And then I used it with that radio right there, the one in the middle that looks quasi-military with the green screen. That's a 10-tech Jupiter. And I used it with that very successfully for about 10 years that I had that radio. When I went to the Yaesu FTDX3000, it has a built-in sound card. So I didn't need this anymore. It's still set up for the Jupiter. By the way, some Jupiters have a problem. The earlier ones do. They put the wrong value resistor in there on the audio line, and you have to really drastically cut that level way back. Otherwise, it'll overdrive it. I do have the instructions for changing it, but it's a surface mount part that's down in between a bunch of through-hole components. So you practically need a microscope to do it and a brain surgeon's hand to pull it off. He asked the question, what is the position? How do hams feel about sending and receiving Morse code with a program like FLDigi? This same question is asked with equal emotion about RTTY. This radio will do it. That radio will do it. Actually, if you tell it to the right way, it will literally, inside the VFO, switch between the two RTTY frequencies. That's real, genuine radio teletype. When the oscillator inside bumps between the two frequencies, okay? That's what a lot of people call genuine FSK. Now, what a lot of hams do, me included, is they don't bother with that because it's a little difficult to set up. But we use the sound card to generate the RTTY tones. Now, people will say, that's not real RTTY. Well, if it's done right, only those two tones come on the output of the sound card. And so coming out the back of the radio on the RF connection is the same thing you would get if you did real RTTY. Okay? So, if, however, you've got other noises on that line, those will get transmitted over a full spectrum. Remember, to do digital modes, usually you have your radio in upper sideband. You're working upper sideband. So you've got that 3 kilohertz bandwidth, but all you're doing is putting those two tones that are 170 hertz apart out there. Okay, so that should be all that is transmitted. If, however, there's any nonlinearity in any of the audio amplifiers, you'll start getting wolf tones in there, and some purist will, I don't know, turn over in his grave or something. Now, the same thing can be said of CW. CW is it's a tone, a single tone, turned on and off. It's called on-off keying. It's different from RTTY. RTTY uses one or the other tone. That's called frequency shift keying. The transmitter is always on, which is why you've really got to crank the power down on this thing, or it'll burn out your radio. On most radios like this, 25 watts is the max you want out, because the radio can do that forever. Now, my 10-tech Jupiter can do key down RTTY for up to half an hour. And if you put a fan on the cooling fins on the back, it can be key down indefinitely. It is a serious radio for that kind of stuff. But for normal stuff like RTTY contests and so on, you're 6 dB better with that transmitter. That's a whole S unit. And sometimes people really like that. Okay, so can you use FLDigi to send Morse code? Yes. You want to get somebody to listen to it, somebody who's close by who can hear all the noise from your receiver, to see just what it is being transmitted. And then you can make the decision whether that works for you. And actually it does. Now, is it possible to send Morse code with a key and then have FLDigi try to decode it? Yes, you can. You're going to find the following. Some people call CW a digital mode. It is not, if it is hand sent. If it is machine sent, yes, it follows very strict rules. But if you hand send it, no two DITs are going to be exactly the same length. No two DAWs no two spaces, no two inner word spaces. Nothing's going to be repeated. The analogness of hand-sent CW is this way, not this way. It's this way. It's very much like FM in that regard. So hand-sent CW is an analog mode. And unless you've got some artificial intelligence in your decoding mechanism, it's not going to follow human-sent Morse code. Now, I have seen some radios, like the ones from Corpi Labs, that do a pretty good job of decoding hand-sent Morse code. But I think it's going to take a full artificial intelligence application to really be able to decode handset Morse code. Okay, so anyway, my opinion, and I stand by this opinion. See, I can stand right here, right by my opinion. Okay, and that is this. Audio FSK or AFSK, where you let the sound card generate the tones, is just fine. Audio CW, where you let the sound card generate the tone, is fine. They both work, done properly, and you don't start, turning up the gain too much. You want to get your ALC set up so that when you're transmitting, the ALC is not going beyond max. In fact, if it doesn't come on at all, that would be better, because ALC tends to shorten the peaks. That distorts the wave, which causes additional frequencies to show up and causes the genuine FSK people to find a grave to turn over in. So there you have it. You can do, I think, whatever you like. I will just mention in passing, if you go to patreon.com and want to support this channel, either as a new patron or bumping up from one level to another, we will send you as a thank you a genuine $2 bill, US $2 bill. So there you go. Make sure you include your call sign in there somewhere. So until we next meet, keep hamming, keep on talking on those digital modes, and until we next meet, 73.